Hey gang, welcome to another episode of Vital Vinyl. Can you believe we're on another episode already? Where does the time go? If you're new here, welcome aboard. If you're a returning customer, visitor, viewer, welcome back. Glad you could make it. Glad I could make it. And glad the dual 1019 turntable could make it, because that's what we're discussing today. So let's get to it, shall we? Like I said a few seconds ago, today's video will be a review and rundown and brief history either of it or of my association with it. The Dual 1019 turntable, made by Dual, in case you missed it. So there's a ton of information about these online, except for various distinctions and variations of these turntables. They were made from, I believe, 1965 to 1969, somewhere around there, from what I've read. And these are not a belt drive turntable, not a direct drive turntable, but they're an idler drive turntable, which, to my understanding, means there's a motor connected to a spinning wheel that connects to the platter and turns it. So kind of a mix between a belt drive and a direct drive. Direct drive is just straight up under the platter and spins it directly from that. And a belt drive has a belt that's attached to a platter that's attached to another motor that spins it around. So yeah, I first was introduced to dual turntables back in 1990 when I was a 15-year-old little punk rock skater boy, and my girlfriend at the time, her dad gave me a dual turntable from the either late 70s or early 80s. I believe it was a 606, and I had that thing until 2005 when Hurricane Katrina came and washed all my stuff away. But it was a great turntable. Never had to replace the stylus. That's the needle. Never had any problem with it, like losing speed. I mean, it had a speed adjuster, but yeah, it stayed pretty true. It sounded really awesome. It took a beating and kept on repeating. But this one I was unfamiliar with, but my buddy Jason was like, hey, I'm getting a couple old turntables if you want them, and he showed me some pictures. One was one from like the 80s. It was a silver one, a 1248, I believe, or a 58. And one was a 1019, and it looked super cool. It was kind of beat up and dirty and stuff, so I cleaned it up on the outside, cleaned up the dust cover there, cleaned up the plinth, cleaned up the platter. There was no stylus on it or cartridge in it, so I had no idea how it sounded. But it did come with, hold on a second, and I'll grab it because it's underneath this. This little speed disc here that you can put on it, shine a strobe light on it, and it'll tell you how true it is to 33, 45, 16, and 78 RPMs, because those are all the various settings that this thing has. I've got a strobe light on my phone, and I set it, and the thing was keeping pretty good speed for being almost 60 years old and not having been used in I don't know how many years. So that was a good sign to me. Alright, getting back to this one. Yeah, so I have no idea which year this came from, because some of them have different plinths, which is the base right here. Which, if you'll notice, it kind of tapers up from the bottom. But some of them have edges that are completely perpendicular, which means it runs at a 90-degree angle to the top and bottom instead of coming out at a flared edge like this. Some have stripes that go across it, some have a dual badge label on it. Some have a United Audio badge labeled on it, which I believe the United Audio ones meant that the plinth was made in the United States as opposed to Germany, because Duals are a German company producing turntables, and they're still around. They might have gone away for a little bit, and I think they recently just came back, but yeah, they've been doing this for over half a century, which is pretty cool. And yeah, some of them have hinged dust covers, some of them have removable dust covers. Guess which one this one is? Need a hint? It's removable. Yep. So this one also came with a stacking spindle. Sorry, I'm holding a camera and a microphone. So this is the stacking spindle. You could put it in there and have multiple records on it, and it'll drop whenever you're done with each one. So it's kind of cool because you could listen to multiple records without having to get up, but it's kind of not cool because maybe those records will be rubbing up against each other, or you'll never get to hear the other side of it unless you flip them all over, and then you just listen to side B, side B, side B, side B, side B of a bunch of records after listening to side A, side A, side A, side A, side A of a bunch of records. This one did not come with the original single record spindle, but I got one off of eBay. It's not like the original kind either, but it is kind of a universal one that fit into this. So that's what I mostly use. The original kind has, it kind of flares out to fit and cover that space in there. So yeah, this thing plays 4 different speeds. Most turntables are 33 and 45 RPMs. This one goes all the way down to 16 RPMs, which if you've ever seen one of those spin, it's really weird to see a record spinning that slow. But you could fit a ton of music onto it, but I think those are mostly used for sermons, or spoken word things. 78s are old records, and they're usually like 10-inch records. It's been several years since I've seen one, but they go super fast. But you do need, from what I understand, a different type of stylus to play those. But if you have that, you can just interchange it with this. You can change out the cartridge and stylus simply by sliding this little handle back, and then it pops out. This did not come with one, so I had to get one. There's a guide, there's a sled that attaches into this. I really don't want to take it apart and show you, sorry. But there's a guy on eBay, I believe it's Pat's Audio, who 3D prints sleds, and they even come with a cartridge and stylus. So I went with the Audio-Technica VM95E because I'd heard great things about that cartridge and stylus, and figured if I ever want to get another fancier one for this, I could put that cartridge on my other turntable, the Audio-Technica LP3, which I discussed in another video. Maybe I'll put a link below, maybe I won't. Whew, back to this guy. But yeah, I really didn't know which. I would see so many people saying so many different types of cartridges and styli to put on this turntable, and a lot of them were like super duper expensive. And this one was kind of pricey. It was like around somewhere between 120. I think it was around 120. And seeing as how this cartridge and stylus is usually like around $70-$80, but I was like, screw it, it's an all-in-one thing. I can just plug it in, go, and don't have to worry about making adjustments or anything like that, because even if I put this cartridge and stylus on this one, I would have to get a little printer protractor thing to kind of line it all up and make it work properly. But with this one, I just plugged it in and I was good to go. This one, like I said, I got for free, but it needed some wiring done in the tone arm, and it actually did end up needing the motor and the idler wheel replaced. And you know what? I'm going to flip it, show you the underside of it, because there's not really a whole lot of electronics. It's mostly mechanical. So hold on one second while I lift it up, show you the bottom, and put this microphone somewhere where I don't have to hold it in my hands. All right, here's the underneath of it, and it's pretty much just mechanical gears, hardly any wiring at all. There's some there, which is just the cables that connect to the receiver in order to pick up sound. And there's some little motor stuff, but there's the main motor. And if you'll see, the screws connect here, and they are very long. Apparently, that is the better motor to have. There are other motors, like the one it originally came with, that had short screws on the side there holding it in. And the interior of those kind of motors tend to rot out quicker, which could have been some of the problem that I was having with my motor. So I found one with the long screws, replaced it, got a new idler wheel, which is, I forget exactly where it is on here, but it's somewhere underneath here. Yeah, so you're not going to learn anything about that right now. Sorry. But yeah, this is, as long as you keep these just well lubricated, these should be good for many, many, many years. And this thing's about 60 years old, so that is a good sign. Am I going to see if I can find the idler wheel? No. I thought it was somewhere up around here, but I don't know. Anyway, I did not fix all of this stuff. I had a tech guy who did, so I'm not going to pretend to know what I'm talking about down here. So let's flip it up, flip it over, and I can pretend to know what I'm talking about the functions on top. Okay? Okay. And here we are back on top. So right here is the power cord that goes to the power strip, or you could plug it into the back of your receiver. Then also, that little gray wire behind the two black cables is the ground wire that connects to your receiver, so it doesn't go with a loose hum. And those two black wires are the ones that I showed you underneath that connect to the into the phono jacks on the back of your receiver. There is 1 second. There is an adjustable counterweight back here, and you can also adjust the tracking force right here and here. Oh, that's your anti-skate right there. Yeah. So this one's actually set to around 2 grams. It could go a little bit lighter to 1.5 from what I've heard, but 2 grams is good for this little Audio-Technica VM95E elliptical from what I've read. Here you got your little tone arm latch to keep it down if you're moving and flipping it up to show people on the internet the underside of this turntable. You've got different settings for your record sizes. 12-inch being a standard LP, 10-inch being those 78s, or there's also records either 33 1/3 or 45 RPMs that come in 10-inch. I don't have any currently. I used to when I was younger. Or 7-inch for 45 RPM singles. Though also there are 33 RPM singles that are made. But that way, whenever you hit the automatic controls, it'll go to the proper spot and drop down, because this is a fully automatic turntable. But you can also use it manually. And you know what? maybe it's time for a demonstration. Okay, here we are for a little demonstration. Now, normally I listen to full-length albums, 12-inch, 33 1/3. So I'm going to have to come and adjust this to 45. And then the size sensor to 7-inch. Put a little adapter up in here. Throw on some Belinda. 'Cause ooh, heaven is a place on earth. Hit the start button, which it usually rests in between manual and stop. So you go click once and then to start, and it automatically starts to lift it up. And drops on the record, which, oh, actually that looks like it came a little bit short of that. Very interesting. Let's see if that happens again. This platter is like 7.5 pounds. It keeps spinning for a while. It's very, very heavy. So let's see, we'll just stop it. Start this again. I don't normally play 7-inchers on here. So let's see if that happens again. Yeah, it's coming off the record. Very interesting. All right, Dual 1019. You do not get 5 stars because you did not make your stylus go all the way to the record. Anyway, what I normally do, actually not true, what I do sometimes is I do manual start. Now with most turntables, you would just, set the, here's the switch to raise and lower the Q arm. And you would just move it over and it would start spinning on its own, and then you would drop it. But the Dual 1019 is different. Like if you move it over, if you raise it up and then move it over to where you want it to be, you notice this does not start spinning automatically on its own. You have to get it where you want it, then click it to manual to get it to start spinning, and then lower the tone arm down, and then it'll start playing. Now I've got the volume turned off so that there's no copyright blah 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 YouTubey stuff. But yeah. And you can either stop it by hitting the switch over to stop, and it'll automatically lift up and put itself back down over there. Or, which I'll demonstrate by playing it how it was. Whoops, got it too far. Yay. I would edit that out, but I'm not gonna. How you like dem apples? Alright, so just move this back over to about there. We'll get it going. Lower it down. I'll talk for a minute while this plays, and then whenever it gets to the end of the song, you'll see that it'll run into the run out grooves and then lift up and go back. So that way, if you fall asleep drinking in the middle of, a 3.5 minute record, you'll know that it won't just keep spinning on and 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 on, do 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 do, and on and on. All right, well, it sounds like this has gone off, so let's let it get to the run out, lift up, and yay, it returns to its vinyl resting place and shuts off. So yeah, fully automatic except for that little start function on 45 RPM setting, or on 7-inch setting rather. But let's give a demonstration of 12-inch, shall we? Take that guy off. And grab a 12-inch record. Now this platter is about 10.5 inches, so it's a little bit short of a full-length album size. See? Which the only thing I've really found that makes a difference in is like it's really sensitive whenever the stylus is playing up in the front, where like even if I close the door, that'll make a skip on there. So, but once it's like past this point, yeah, there's nothing really shaking it. So set it back to 12-inch. Set this mug over to 33. Hit start. And voila, it drops to where it's supposed to. And you can enjoy your music. Like that. So yeah, that is, I believe, all the functions of the Dual 1019 fully automatic turntable from Dual, makers of the Dual 19 fully automatic turntable. Unless you want to play a 7-inch record, then you might have to go manual. So it's almost fully automatic turntable by Dual. But yeah, this thing, it sounds amazing. It cranks, it kicks ass, it rocks and reels from the floor to the seals. Okay, see you on the other side. Oh, one feature I forgot to mention is the pitch control right there. If your record seems to be spinning a little too fast or too slow, you can adjust that while it's spinning, and it'll get to the perfect sound for you, the perfect speed for you, the perfect everything you need for you. All right, that concludes the functions of the Dual 1019 idler drive turntable. Well, there you have it, folks. My stellar review of the Dual 1019 turntable with the Audio-Technica VM95E elliptical cartridge and stylus. There are many choices for cartridges and styli. I just went with an easy one that I heard would sound good. There are certainly better, more expensive, higher end ones, but it really starts to get overwhelming. And if you have ones that you already like, then you don't need for me to tell you about it. And you probably know all about dual turntables and cartridges and stylis anyway. This is kind of more for folks like me, vintage noobs, who just kind of want something simple, easy, sounds good, and works. So that's why I went with that one. The Audio-Technica VM95E cartridge is a really good, versatile, universal, can be upgraded in many, many, many ways. And it's not very expensive for the most part. So yeah. Hold on. I thought I had something to say, but I don't. Anyway, yeah, this thing sounds really, really good. Unfortunately, I can't play anything musically through YouTube or on YouTube or for YouTube or for you to because even just a few seconds of music can get you flagged, and I don't want that. So yeah, just have to take my word for it, I guess. So if you're in the market for one, if you find one, you can usually find them completely restored or partially restored or just functioning normally for between $200 and $400 on eBay. Or maybe you'll get lucky and find one on your local marketplace or Craigslist, and then you don't have to pay, I don't know, like another $100 for shipping and risk that it might get smashed up, because where I got the motor and some other parts for it were from a dual 1019 that got destroyed in shipping. The tone arm was smashed and the idler wheel was destroyed and all that good stuff, because a lot of people don't know how to pack stuff whenever they ship it and sell it. So it's always best to buy local. Yeah. So that concludes the dual 1019 turntable. In case you missed it the first 76 times I said it. Yes. All right. Well, thanks for watching. And don't forget to comment down below if you want to comment, or don't if you don't have a comment, or do if you do have a comment. I know I may be saying it goofy, but I actually like comments. I like when people say things, because then it validates my existence. So, till next time, have a blessed day.